welcome one and all to the December 21 meeting for the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg. Let's do a roll call. Sean Hewitt.
Here.
Pat Mosby.
Here.
Georgianne Sneed. Georgianne is absent. Kim Sorensen.
Here.
John Stone is here. Richard Tugman.
Hey, and I'd just like to apologise to the chairman and to the committee for having missed the last two meetings.
We're pleased to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Zach Wood.
Here.
All right. Approval of minutes from our November 16 meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. Any comments before I accept a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve as presented. Second.
All right, we've got a motion to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Minutes are approved. Now we will look at the mom's performance and loan agreement. Project.
Okay, so this is the performance agreement, the AC Capital, I believe, LLC. Yeah, it's 400 12th Street was awarded. The EDA came through the EDA. You all were conduit for this. But it's the mixed use on Main Street. It is actually lives under the Virginia Industrial Revitalization Fund. And that is managed for the state by the Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD. So they are the provide oversight on that. And so this loan will flow through the EDA. They will disperse the loan to the money to funds to us, which is $500,000 through the EDA, out to the out to Will and William at AC Capital. And I believe, Alicia, they give us proof that they've spent that money, and that's how they draw down on the amount.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. It's a little different. It's not like, we just give them like a bank, the 500,000, they have to show us where they've completed that. There's timeframes on all of that. So there's a performance agreement, as well as they gave us a loan agreement to review with that group, as well as the EDA. So the really great thing about this is that DHCD or the state is not looking to be paid back. So this money, once it is paid back to us from AC Capital, will become the EDA's funds that they can use for similar programs. So similar either loan programs or grant programs, or there'll be language in there. So what we've done is we talked to the owners initially. You really have to be in a very specific place. We happened to catch them right when this came out. The entire Virginia Revitalization Fund normally for the whole state only has maybe $2 or $3 million in it. It's not a very robust, but of course COVID changed all of that, but it normally doesn't have huge sums of money in it. And it is, very peculiar in that if the city or the EDA owns the property on a Virginia Revitalization Fund request or application, then it's a grant. If it's private sector, it's a loan, which makes no sense. So this is a loan, and so the things that needed to be agreed upon were the interest rate. It can be no lower than 2.5, and then the terms of the loan. And this group had shared with us that I think they were really looking for the interest amount to be 2.5, but they and they can explain, why they need that. They were originally thinking of making that entire building, apartments, right, because that's where the cash flow is, in lieu of, what happens to lots of people is that even though our master plan, firmly states that we want mixed use and that we want the bottom floor to be commercial, that can be difficult. So we actually brought them a prospect, but all that comes with, risk, more risk than the, at least downtown, than or really anywhere right now, the apartments themselves. So Ted has reviewed the performance agreement and the draft of the loan. So I'm just asking you all today everything will have to be further approved. But we're in conversations with the developers to nail it down, and they've asked for, it would be a 20-year amortization, but they'd like to have a 10-year balloon. We've done that. You all have done that with your other loan the last loan you have out there for your loan program that was done administratively through the Business Development Center has a 10-year balloon that'll come up next year. And so I think it's the interest rate, and I think they really need the interest rate to be as low, can't go any lower than 2.5 just because of the build out, but we will get more information and come back to you. So this is really just, a first pass saying, you're looking at the documents you approved thus far, and Ted will review again anything that we do, and I'll probably, with you all's support, would bring something like this to the finance committee before bringing it back.
How does the deed of trust interact with this?
I prepare the deed of trust to secure as security for the loan.
Okay,
They have it'll be in second position behind the bank.
okay.
But it's, gives us some security.
So who's the bank?
They are using a credit union, I think. And one on Langham Road.
Was it Freedom First?
Freedom
Yes.
First,
Okay.
which is unusual, but.
So we stand second to them in case of
we'll
default?
stand- Yes.
Okay. And the commercial use, is it going to be a restaurant? Is that what I heard? Okay.
It's going to be entertainment kind of venue, not karaoke, although they may do that, but it's golf.
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 Yeah, it's like simulators.
Oh, okay.
It's they have one in Danville.
So, but with a restaurant, or just
Uh-huh.
with a restaurant? Okay. Oh.
Does DHCD just step away after this? And we're
No,
now,
they don't just step away, but for the most part, they're gonna give us some direction. I'm sure we will have to give them, a report on all of this, but for the most part, once these agreements have been done, that, they're going to know through the paperwork that's done that the funds are not released until they've been spent by the developer. So they will have all of that, that information, that money is being used for what they intended it to be used for, and then it turns into the loan fund. I've never known DHT to step away. Anna was filling out, Ashley's doing the launched in LYH. We did that 10 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago. And I think Anna was filling out paperwork on it until maybe six months before she left.
But the 500,000 returns to us plus interest, and then we can redeploy that as we see fit, but within the guidance for.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's absolutely correct.
but returned to us over 10 years.
Sounds like, yeah.
And do we care then, as long as they pay us back, that they keep the 27 jobs or the 15 full-time jobs? I mean,
Well, we always care. It's
I know
just
we
a
care, but
question
is that,
of- And
that
that,
become,
and I'm thinking that they're looking at that, and Alicia can jump in here.
Yeah,
think-
that's what I was gonna say.
A lot of that would be with that commercial use that's downstairs. So 10 years is a long time for retail. I mean, I hope it blows the doors
Right.
off, but hopefully something else would come in there. Normally, when we look at things, when you all do or your own performance agreements for projects, we are usually looking at, it's a 3 to 5 year period that you need to, keep the investment in place, and with VEDP, you've got to keep the jobs in place for 3 to 5 years as well.
And with the performance agreement, DHCD, this is a draft of their performance agreement. They're the ones who actually will write it, but it's a 24-month period that they're looking at really for those jobs and stuff. So once that's done, they do kind of step back after that.
Which is unusual, because usually the state is more strict than, I mean, Ted puts stuff in you all's performance agreements, which over the years, things like you can't come back and challenge your tax, your real estate tax or your machinery and tools tax. Once you've given us numbers that said this is what you were gonna go after for a period of time till we get an ROI on it.
So my question is our oversight after the 2-year period that she just mentioned, do we just care that they're paying us back?
Pretty much.
I had the same question, Zach, and I didn't remember the job component being a part of this whole thing, and was
Yeah.
surprised by the number of jobs
Yeah.
that was on the performance agreement, which
Yeah.
seemed like a lot.
Yeah, DHCD is definitely gonna always
keep
look
up
at
with,
the job side of it.
It's not contingent on that though. That's something they made really clear, is that was part of the application and they wanted to know what the jobs were going to be because they track that. But if that shifts, they understand that's variable, and we just need to keep that in communication with them when we're reporting out.
Yeah, especially since it's mixed use on Main Street, they know how fluid that's probably going to be, unless you got a much bigger tenant in there.
Okay.
So, but you may not have had time to read over all of it, but please do. And, we're just looking for, the green light we were not able to get in touch with Will and William, a lot of schedule issues there. So Clayton met with them this week, and we'll bring something back, but I think it's much more appropriate to go through the finance committee, because that'll be specifically on the terms of the loan, and I don't think there's anything, if we threw out 4%.
I thought we indicated that 4% was gonna be
Yeah,
the
well,
rate.
that's not,
Okay.
that, they have come back and are trying to make an, argument that for their performance, they would really like the EDA to consider something lower than that. So I'm gonna bring it to the finance committee if y'all are good with that. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up will be our Delta Star performance agreement.
Yeah, so Delta Star seems like a long time ago. But I need for it to be frozen. So Delta Star, back what I was just saying, Delta Star has a performance agreement with the EDA separate, and then you all are a party to the performance agreement with VEDP. So once again, I will reiterate, even though all of you retain it, most people don't, is that any of these incentives where we work alongside the state, we are the lead. We must make application to the state and agree to match it in order to get whatever the governor announces. So there are two, we used to all be party to one agreement where it was the EDA, the recipient of the incentive, the project, and then VEDP. And in recent years, they've asked us to do our own performance agreement separate. And so Ted and I have worked on, putting together a performance agreement that looks very similar, to what they have, but we're a party to both of those. So we have the performance agreements in your Dropbox. Ted has reviewed it. And it's just taken us a while. Their attorney was out of pocket, I think, had an illness and was out of pocket. So I'm not really sure. I'm gonna try to find out today where the state's performance agreement stands, right? Because I facilitated the state's performance agreement, getting to them, and I think we have turned this around previous, but I like to have a performance agreement in place, executed by you all, because, we encumber the funds and we've got the documentation and they've executed it. So the performance agreement's been reviewed by Ted, and if you all are comfortable with it, then we will get that executed. Did I miss anything, Ted?
No, I just need to authorize the chairman or vice
Yeah.
chairman to execute the performance agreement if they're comfortable with.
These are all numbers that we discussed before. We just are now bringing them out in open session, right?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions before we accept a motion to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement? I will accept the motion.
Close that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to authorize the chairman to execute the performance agreement for Delta Star. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is EDA supported workforce initiatives.
Yeah, so, if you all remember, in the spring, we talked about CloudFit and the intern initiative that they have. And they've been doing now 3 years, Alicia? Is this the third year?
This will be the third year coming up, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, and you all said we'd like for, we approved the money for this, when obviously, CloudFit's they have a nonprofit set up, and they bring they take applications for interns. Your funding applies to city residents that are taking part in the program. And then CloudFit places those people, they give them a very robust boot camp type of situation there for the internship. They do service projects. I think they do Jubilee Family Center. But they also work on, really important projects that they have there at CloudFit. And but you all said, where are some other groups out here? They've been doing now 3 years, Alicia, sort of internship opportunities that we might be able to help as well. So we're not just helping, one group, we put it up there for everybody. So Alicia prepared, those are all of the groups that we have had some kind of funding relationship with. So you cast the net. It's $50,000 you have in the budget for this, and these are all the this is the result, and these are all the groups that you work with.
How many employees at CloudFit? Approximately?
I'm thinking 8, I don't know. They've got a lot, they have employees that telework.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, Sean. I need to find out.
The last number we had was somewhere around 180, I think,
Yeah.
total.
They're
Yeah.
certainly not all in that building up there.
No.
That was what was hanging me up, Sean, is because I knew I'd seen over 100, but they're not all over there in that building.
I think you've already told us this, but forgive me for asking the question again. How do we make this program available? As it broadcast,
Yeah.
or is it advertised?
Yeah, well, I think it's much more so that we would have to develop an application process. I've just been going out, and when we're having visits with anybody that has an internship program, to let them know that they can apply. So, to take that a step further, if we put that in, there's not that many internship programs necessarily out there that are tight enough, if I can use that, meaning they'll bring you someone, but it's not like we have this and it's gonna be for this amount of time and here they come. I mean, even Beacon of Hope brings us stuff at the last minute, meaning I need better than that, cause we don't have staff to be able to do that. But yeah, we could certainly put it out in our newsletter and things like that. I think it's much more, one of the things we are committed to doing this year is working with CloudFit to bring major employers to the table, to ask them, because CloudFit can't place all these people. They don't have that many open jobs. So if we could get the major employers to understand what that nonprofit is doing, they may be able to get some employees from the folks that CloudFit brings through, because it's all IT related.
Which non-profit is doing signing for
They have one in there, it's called JobFit, within
within
CloudFit.
okay.
Mhm.
And that's the robust program. It's called JobFit within
Yes.
CloudFit.
Yeah.
And that's what you look for in others.
Yeah, well, I would look for anything that is an
A robust-
established internship program, right? Because over the years, I've worked with all the colleges, I've worked with all those folks, and it's very sporadic. So the first request I ever really had for a program that has a beginning, middle, end, that, shows results and does all that was CloudFit. There may be others out there, but once again, for us to process through this office and to make selections about who receives funding and not, these groups came, Beacon of Hope has obviously started doing internships, and I don't think they've been doing that for that long. Like
This was their
maybe the
second year
last
too, yeah.
2 or 3 years.
BWXT fit anywhere in here as far as internships, since we get interns every year?
Yeah, you would fit in here as being a major employer that we will invite to a breakfast to understand what CloudFit is doing, because everybody needs it. I will invite the city to this, because everyone needs IT people, and that's what CloudFit is. That is what they're doing with their program, is producing, IT level types of folks there. I'm sure you have to have a mighty tight internship program if you're rolling up in BWXT. I'm just saying, but some of the non-profits, I mean, I know they're doing the best they can, but the same thing with the colleges and all that, it's just, it can be very, very, sporadic.
Okay.
And it ends up being, for a lot of employers, it's more work to bring an intern on than it is help. Whereas with what CloudFit's doing, I mean, they actually give them, stick them up, and it's not always possible, but they give them actual projects.
Okay.
And things to work on. And the list of where those folks have gone, besides CloudFit, is astounding, where they've found jobs.
Okay.
And they really go to the high schools. CloudFit does with the applications. They go to all the colleges. They do all of that, right? So to me, they're streamlining. What I've tried for years to get from some of the other places. But I think CVCC is coming on board with trying to reinvigorate an internship program of some sort.
Didn't the authority come or set aside $50,000 to support the program? On that, what was that?
Right.
Yeah, that's what's in the budget.
All right, thank you for that update. Let's look at our staff report.
Just have to find it on the back of these things. Okay. Okay, so, we submitted a Tech Hub application. We weren't selected, but we knew that the chances of that, especially once the state got involved. we were a long shot, but we pulled it all together and we really wanted to look long-term as to how we start to differentiate ourselves as, really energy or nuclear kind of technology hubs. So we've continued to work on that. So we took a road trip down to Danville to their Institute of Learning and Advanced Research. That's unbelievable what has gone on down there. That would be similar to, I think, was probably funded under the same agenda as the CAER was out in Bedford County back in the day, where you had a loss of jobs for some reason or a downturn in the economy, and the state came forward and said, what do you need and what can we help you do? And you made application for that. But they have really, their center down there has really struggled mightily. And of course, Telly Tucker is the president, and he used to work in this office. And he was very familiar with the ONE programs, which I don't know if anybody remembers those, but that was kind of a brilliant workforce development initiative started out of this office. Bedford County fails to remember that every time they talk about it. We were gonna share it with the region, right? It was really taking data from the Kauffman Foundation that says, if you expose young people repeatedly to job opportunities or, the ability to see what it takes to work in certain fields and all that, not just a one-hit wonder where you take everybody over there one time. It was consistent. So we had ONE programs that tried to tackle each grade. So we had elementary, we had middle school, we had high school, and we tried to we even branded it, and it was really the brainchild of Shirley Dean, who used to work in this office. She had a camp, a summer camp. That's where Telly first found out about our office. He was a counselor at the camp. We had guidance counselors that selected the students to go to that camp, and what they did was spend a week with a curriculum about entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship, even if someone doesn't choose to start their own business, if they're exposed to what it takes to run a business, they make a much better employee, is what the data showed there. So that is what we went on a complete tour of the facilities down there in Danville. And they really, drew a line in the sand, probably with some funding, as they were trying to reinvent themselves over the years. And obviously Danville lost 25,000 jobs when the mills closed. And so, like I've told you all before, when you get knocked to your knees like that, everything, you're gonna pull out all the stuff. So they really, really engaged with their public schools, and built labs and built relationships and did all those things. So it kind of put them in a position, right, to branch out from there. And so right now, when we went down there, it's just astounding. So they got a building under construction right now. They built 2 other buildings on the campus. They have not what's called an incubator, but these are called launch pads, and they are for existing businesses that are thinking of separate locations, or international companies that want to enter the US. So they're 10,000 square foot kind of bays there where these companies can come in and get acclimated before they take a physical space. And I'm sure you've heard that that Danville won the contract for the nuclear, the shipbuilding training.
Oh,
They are training the nuclear folks to go back. And so these folks come from all over the country. They don't come, the Danville people are certainly not excluded, but they come from all over the country. They come there, they get trained, and then they all leave to go take the jobs elsewhere. So a group called Spectrum, which is fascinating if you Google it, which is admirals and very high-ranking naval officials that have formed this group that is really in there talking about what the Navy's gonna need moving forward and how do we prepare for that to occur. So it is that spectrum group that is standing up the building that we saw when we went down there. So the Tech Hub thing, we're looking at what we have the two nuclear companies here. BWXT is already using Danville for training folks. And so they both live here. The brain power is here.
Yeah.
How do we partner with them, with Danville, and what can we do here? So we took our consultant that wrote the white paper for us. We also took a group that has set up shop in the Business Development Center that I have assisted. And that used to work for BWXT, and they now have a contract with Los Alamos. So we have a little footing there, and the owner of that company has just been really willing to work with us too. So that is, we are continuing to, and Megan, we went with LRBA, so we are all working on that.
So Margaret, can I just ask a
Yeah.
interrupt you? So back in August, we had this draft application for this Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium operating as a lead organisation, blah, 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 for this twin hub kit, this designation. What happened to that then? Is that still in play or is that not happening?
No, it's, they've already been awarded and we weren't one of the people that got awarded.
So who in Virginia got awarded this?
I think Blacksburg, the New River Valley got awarded, but nobody got awarded for nuclear. Theirs was more focused on that. They got awarded for materials handling, I believe. And then I think there might have been one other, but we had no idea how many other people neither did Virginia know how many applications were out there.
So there never was an award made for a nuclear technology hub despite all other
Not in
sectors.
Virginia.
Despite the fact that we have this huge concentration of nuclear.
Right.
Okay. Just seems staggering to me that
Yeah.
given our concentration in nuclear, that wasn't.
Yes. Well, that's why, we continually are passed over. And so.
Yeah, but there just seemed to be such an impetus from Senator Warner's office to basically make this happen. Do we know why we were passed over?
Well, they took
Was there a lack of support from?
No, I think we are awaiting a download on why we did not receive and we were going for the strategy grant to pull everything together. Two.
Yeah.
And what we went through with Senator Warner's office, the governor's office and all that, changing their mind, and they submitted on Friday before the grant was due, they decided they were gonna submit a grant.
For what? For Richmond? For what?
No, for
us.
nuclear.
For nuclear.
Not for us, but for the state. Yeah. And they were very focused on workforce, which was not what the request for proposal, didn't focus on workforce. It focused on technologies that could be replicated or taken in 10 years could be commercialized. So anyway, it was if you don't get out there, you're gonna get missed, and we've been missed a lot of times because we didn't take a risk and step out there. So I don't think, I think everybody knows that we're not gonna let go of this, meaning there'll be other grants that come through and we'll be more prepared to apply for those. But that's what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to work with, and we're more interested in the companies themselves that are taking advantage of this kind of training and things like that. So that's, to me, I'm much more concerned about what's gonna keep BWXT and Framatome and all those folks here and thriving. Because I don't see anything in nuclear. I only see that growing, not diminishing. Okay. We met with Sackett's team about the 50th running of the 10 miler. That's a really big deal. It's going to be sanctioned as a kind of a national qualifier, I think, Sackett, for like Boston or different. It'll be up there. We realize that just like with what we were just talking about, one end of the spectrum to the other. Tourism and on that side of it, we don't take the ball and run with it. There's just not enough capacity a lot of times for anybody else to do it. Same thing we're doing on the nuclear side. We're small but mighty. Clayton's been working really hard. Those 2 grants that we got from Go Virginia and Virginia Business Ready Sites, we're about 50% through on both of those. So what that's gonna do is take the sites in Abbey Creek Industrial Park and tell us how much it's gonna cost to get utilities and road access. And then at the airport Commerce Park, same kind of thing there. Give us hard numbers so that you know how to program CIP or funding requests for both of those. We've gotten a lot of interest. Having those sites, as you all know, it has produced a lot more interest from a prospect perspective. It's a lot of paperwork, and Keisha and Clayton have been keeping up with all of that. Andrew is just killing it. He had 4 definite leads in the month of November with an economic impact of over $2 million. I can't stress enough the balance between hardcore ED and creating, jobs and sites and helping companies expand. On the other side of it is the tourism side, the visitor services side of it, to help you achieve that balance. And it's just the impact that some of these tourism things have, Liberty's championship, game over there, all of those things, just unbelievable in turn. And when I say economic impact, I'm not talking about tax revenue necessarily coming back to the city, because that's how we define a lot of things. This means, what are people spending in all the businesses and things that are out there? And the intangibles are like, how many people come here and say, boy, looks like a lovely place. I don't want to do the rat race anymore. I'm going to move here. And Clayton's been working on the contract for the clearing or partial clearing of the sites. So you were there last week for the announcement. I can't thank you all enough for your support. That wouldn't have happened without the EDA, but I think council was front and center, which is not usually, the case, as you all are working here, but they were very supportive, and everybody kept it confidential, and I can't thank you enough for that, because that's real if we don't.
Kudos to you and the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Great day.
Well, I just feel like that's another thing, and this is all connected, Richard, back to even doing the tech hub stuff and all that. The most important thing to me there is dealing with the minutia and the bureaucracy of taking something up the chain like that is maddening. But when Framatome and BWXT see that we're digging in like this and really trying to put things together, we had great meetings with the top of the house at Framatome and Rec, everybody there. That to me is part of what, to let them know that we are trying to support, anticipate, bolster their efforts. And we know how important those 2 companies are to us. So I really feel like with Framatome that we just have an unbelievable working relationship with them right now, where we're really getting intel that a lot of times when you're doing your formalized business visitation, you just might not be able to dig down in there that deeply. So I'm really I told them I would be like a bad penny. I will be around them all the time, moving forward, right? Because as Georgianne said, the big deal here is how do you get 515 engineers or technicians,
Yeah.
for
coming in.
Lynchburg? And that's gonna take all kinds of things. It's gonna take good schools, that's gonna take workforce housing, that's gonna take placemaking, that's gonna take all those things, right? Which we don't always have control over, but hopefully could have influence over.
I have a question about that. The 515, it is, positions, jobs. They are determined for them to all come to Lynchburg, not to any of their other subsidies or partnerships.
Now, they have to come to Virginia, and the
Okay.
only places that Framatome has locations in Virginia are Lynchburg.
Okay.
And then they have a
Within
presence out
Virginia.
in Mount Athos. Yeah, you
Mhm.
don't get an incentive if
So-
they're not coming here.
Okay,
Okay.
so they can't divert any of those funds to the other partnerships
No.
like USNC or Terra? Okay, I want to make sure of that.
We'll be checking their,
Okay,
Virginia Employment Commission is where they get the stats from.
Okay.
gotcha. Just want to make sure we can keep it all here.
Yeah, we wouldn't even be talking about it. We're continuing collaboration with VDP on Project Range, and if we go into closed session quickly, I'll give you an update on that. Clayton toured a vacant industrial facility with a prospect. So prospects up much more than what we've had, but that's, if you have product, then you have inventory, then you get more shots at things. So I don't know if y'all have seen the Amtrak mural down there. I've asked for something to be at Amtrak for years. It's finally come to fruition, and as a matter of
Beautiful.
fact, I probably get more people stopping me to talk to me about the mural than the Framatome announcement.
Okay.
This is my life. So that is all that I have there. If you all have any questions, we are preparing every quarter this Chamura report for you all to look at. It doesn't change drastically
Mhm.
from one quarter to the next. It's probably better to look at the snapshot of, a year at a time. So anyway, and I will be presenting all as we stand right now. I will be presenting to City Council on January 9th.
Okay.
This, what do you, this?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna present like our 10 top accomplishments
Okay.
for the year. Just try to, kind of level set there to talk about, the things that we've done. I mean, it's a pretty big deal to have Delta Star and Framatome in 1 year,
Mhm.
especially with that kind of capital investment and the job creation side of it.
When does this report, does it come out, is it just updated yearly?
No,
But it's
you
2 years
can pull it
behind.
at any time.
But it's 2017 to 2021, which I feel like is the one we keep getting. Is this different than
It's
the?
so it's updated quarterly, so this is, I think, Q3 from 22.
But
It's
they
delayed
pull-
because they pull from the Census Bureau. So,
Okay.
well, they pull from a whole bunch of different government sites. So it's,
Some of the data is annual. It varies.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, and we can give you a workshop on kind of going through the Chamera data. Because being able to talk being able to speak to some of these things, right, with the best information we have. I mean, I
Yeah.
find nowadays people have decided something that they heard, under a bridge, and that's what it is, right? And there's nothing I can do to change the mind. But if we can all speak from, what things are, right? I just had an email this morning, and they were talking about, needing jobs for lower skilled people, and I go, there are 1,200 out there right now that don't even, that require require a high school education or a certificate. So many people are quick to judge, but are not looking at the tools and the different things that are out there for people to be able to capitalize on and utilize. So I'm really working we've got that jobs portal that we stood up, which kind of consolidates about 900 sites and pulls jobs for this area and condenses them all in one place. And so that means that folks don't have to go and sign up under 14 different job sites. If they go through that job site, they see what's available here. And then they can just go directly to the company and find, and there's nothing like that necessarily here, other than what VEC or somebody has, but we have our own job portal. So Alicia and I've got a full court press on Parks and Rec, on
Library.
library and
Mhm.
social
Services.
services, because all those people are providing within the city, are providing, you know, job information or computers or all that. And a lot of times at the city, we, you know, just because of the lack of resources, want the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, so that's our goal. Our goal is to make sure people know that CloudFit has this program, and if they need IT people, they could probably partner with CloudFit and sponsor some interns themselves. And the same thing goes on the job portal. Job portal is, Alicia's done a Navigrid, which tells a citizen all the places that there's resources for them. But I guarantee the people in the library or social services or Parks and Rec don't even know what that is. So, that's what we'll be doing.
Thank you, Margette.
You're welcome.
We do have closed session on the agenda. Do we need to go in closed session? Real estate and other else, Brenda?
Yes, sir.
Ted, talk to us. What do we
Somebody
need
needs
to
to make a
say?
motion pursuant to 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia for two purposes. First, to discuss the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or the disposition of public real property without discussion in the open meeting would very adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. And under 5, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry of the expansion thereof, where no previous announcement has been made.
Do I have a motion?
So,
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Closed session it is.
Somebody needs to make a motion. Pursuant to section 2.23712 of the Code of Virginia, the only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, Virginia law were discussed in a closed meeting and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
I motion to do so.
All in favor of said motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Very good. Is there any other business before we adjourn? Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Thank you very much.